I'm on the East Coast, Foos. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Hit or Miss. I'm your host, Night Strike, and I've got the disagreeable Foos here with me. Say hi, Foos.
Howdy ho.
Okay. And tonight we're doing Hit or Miss. New York Outcast has been jumping in and out. I don't know if if his internet connection is working properly or his phone and whatnot. But, if he jumps back in and he stays, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Oh, well. We're just going to move on. But I got a couple topics to talk about tonight. Some interesting topics. But before we get into the topics, we're going to go introduce everyone and see how everyone's doing, and if they got anything to plug, they can plug. So first up, we've got Jorge Cortez. We got George.
How's it going, guys? How's everybody?
How you doing, George?
I'm doing good. Just hanging out, doing whatever I can around the house and stuff. Play a little Shadow of the Empire on the N64. Some good old
Shadows of the Empire. Yeah.
Playing some good old Star Wars games right there.
Actually, I just finished the story mode for the new Squadrons. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that one looks awesome. Yeah, should try to pick up some other Star Wars games and some stuff on the N64. See how it goes. That's about it. It's been kind of a slow day today. So,
all right, cool. All right, Nighthawk Medic, you have your camera on.
Yeah, I thought I'd make an appearance for a change. I haven't had too much to drink.
So should we do this, or this?
It's definitely see no evil when I've got the camera on.
No, we see a whole lot of evil. We just not going to comment on it.
Right. Cover the face. I'm excited to be here, man. I appreciate the invitation. I've got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of video unedited, and it's really nice to get to hang out with the gun community guys. I've been on a little hiatus for a couple of weeks, doing a lot of training with people out there. Just excited to be here.
No, you've pretty much been on all of my chats, so I don't know what your problem is. I mean, when's the last time I saw you? Friday?
Friday, yeah.
It's not too long.
No, it's a good place. I like to hang out here.
Good evening, Jason Stewart. He's saying good afternoon. It's good evening because it's 9:00 in the evening. So there we go. All right. Again, we've got Foos here. Foos, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to tell the peoples?
No, just I'm no longer in Arkansas, so that's good.
So where'd you go?
I moved up to the Kansas City, Missouri area.
The Missouri area. Great.
Yep. So first chat from the New Digs.
New Digs. Good.
So yeah.
You had to take that AK mural off the wall, though.
Oh yeah, that's been gone for a while. I replaced it with an American flag.
Yeah, I liked that mural though. That was pretty nice.
The AK.
Yeah.
Nice. I think I got it on Amazon for not much.
All right. So we had Guns and Barbecue, but knowing Guns and Barbecue, he's probably having technical difficulties. So with that, let's check out here on the YouTube side. Oh wait, he's back. Guns and Barbecue. Go ahead and make your plug before you jump back out again.
He's back.
Unmute yourself, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, make your plug and introduce yourself.
Is it late?
We're live.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Barbecue?
You got yourself muted. Unmute yourself.
I did. Then I did my spiel, and then I muted back up. That way I wasn't making a bunch of microphone noise.
Well, we didn't hear you. That's the problem.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm Guns and Barbecue. I like to make fun of Night Strike and make videos about Guns and Barbecue, if you didn't catch that from the name. I have a really cool YouTube channel and crap like that, so check it out. Thanks.
All right. Good. Out there on the YouTube side, we've got Defense Dad, even though he's got a link if he wants to jump in. We've got Uplift Mofo Party Plan out there as well. We've got Rob D, NY Outcast. We've got Jason Stewart out there. Jason's got a link if he wants to jump in. Nighthawk Medic is pulling double duty. We've got Robert Reynolds out there. What's going on, Rob? Who else do we have? That's it. That's all we got right now. But if you're out there watching and you haven't made a comment on the chat to let us know you're there, go ahead and make a comment so we can say hi and have a conversation. So with that out of the way, I'm going to get to our first topic because somebody mentioned it out there in the chat earlier before when we were just starting. I don't know if you guys heard, but Eddie Van Halen died today.
Yeah, I just heard that today.
Yeah.
I heard on Matt's chat.
Yeah,
The HA headlines.
Yep, he passed away due to cancer, I believe. So.
You know, my wife actually remarked, I don't think either of us had any idea he had cancer.
No.
I'm glad to hear I wasn't the only one. I kind of felt bad about that. I mean, I think most of us can look back on our lives and feel like Eddie definitively contributed to our growth somewhat.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't hear it in the news this morning.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't tell anybody about it beforehand.
He's been battling cancer for years.
So,
Yeah. Well, it could have been just like the guy that played Black Panther. That guy, you know, he was filming and stuff, and he was sick, and he wasn't letting anybody know, and then it finally happened, and it just shocked everybody, you know, when he passed away.
Yeah, and the funny part is he is from South Carolina, and when the governor heard that he had died, the governor put the American flags at half mast for him.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I think it's nice when you do something like that for somebody, even if they're famous. I mean, you know,
shows respect.
It shows respect, and and that's the problem we have with our country right now. We got two sides fighting each other, and one side is showing respect, and the other side is throw that and caution to the wind.
Yeah, I think at minimum, if we can't be civil with one another, particularly in our last years, we have no unity at all. A civilization is based on our abilities to relate and be civil with each other. I used to tell people I never asked somebody during my years in medicine what their political orientation was. I only saw that they were a human being.
Yep. All right.
Yep. It's good.
Well, the nice thing, New York Outcast says he's shocked if anybody over 60 doesn't have cancer. Well, the nice thing is since coronavirus came out, and there goes Squib perfectly nailing it, nobody's died of cancer or heart disease or anything else. It's all been COVID. As a matter of fact, the number of deaths due to elderly age has dropped by 800,000 in the United States so far this year. So people aren't dying of old age anymore.
Yeah, I saw a stat that we're actually on track to have less people die this year than in the years past.
I doubt that that's actually the case. I think it's just being reported badly.
No, we're about 800,000 shy of last year.
Yeah, we haven't hit winter yet. Keep an eye on it as we go through winter.
That's true.
When flu season kicks in and wintertime hits, that's when you'll start dropping some major numbers.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. The Squib is now out there, and so is Guy That Comments. So there's a couple people out there. All right. So first topic of this evening. Let's go. The source is from Wall Street Journal. But again, the article is from The Truth About Guns. Apparently, the IRS has opened a criminal investigation of Wayne LaPierre.
Tax fraud, wasn't it?
Yeah, tax fraud.
Yeah,
well,
so another shoe is dropped at the NRA. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Internal Revenue Service has opened an investigation of Executive Vice President and CEO Wayne LaPierre for possible criminal tax fraud. The investigation stems from current action against the NRA brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who has filed suit in an attempt to dissolve the 149-year-old organization. James' suit alleges that LaPierre took millions of dollars in unreported income from the NRA and its investors. From the Wall Street Journal report, they paywalled the article, so I can't link you. Unless you're a Wall Street Journal, active subscriber. And at that point, I'm like, why? Asked at a news conference announcing the lawsuit whether she believes Mr. LaPierre had evaded personal taxes, Miss James declined to comment, but said she was referring to the matter to the IRS. The Attorney General claimed the NRA's failure to include certain personal benefits in Mr. LaPierre's W-2 annual compensation forms permitted him to file false personal tax returns with the IRS. P. Kent Coral, an attorney for Mr. LaPierre, says, "We're not aware of any inquiries, so it would be premature for us to comment." As noted in August, the alleged laundering of as much as $18 million in various expenses for things like luxury travel, clothes, apartments, and more through the NRA's former marketing and advertising firm, Ackerman McQueen, presented additional potential personal legal liability for LaPierre as well as other NRA executives. The report of an IRS investigation into LaPierre seems to be next inevitable step in a process that isn't likely to end will either for the LaPierre or the NRA. The only question seems to be how long will this drag out and how much more damage will it do to the association?
Well, I think ultimately they're hoping it'll kill it. I mean, because that was the goal. They figured out that if they murder the NRA, they murder most shooting sports in America very quickly. Ranges can't get insurance. Most FFLs can't get insurance. The majority of hunting clubs can't get insurance. Sportsmen's clubs can't get insurance because nobody can take on that level of insurance liability. The NRA has been the only organization able to front the billions of dollars that are capable of doing that. I still haven't seen an organization that could pony up to even cover the insurance requirements for just shooting ranges in the state of Tennessee against what the NRA provides right now. So they know that they can put a dagger in the Second Amendment through this process.
Yeah, and love him or hate him, and I'm not a fan of the NRA. I'll give you that. But at the same time, I don't want to see the NRA die.
No.
But something's got to be done about Wayne. Wayne's not been a good leader. He has shown time and again that he is not the right person for the job.
Nope.
I agree with that fully. And anybody who knows me knows I'm not an NRA fanboy. But the fact of the matter is we can't afford for them to die. They hold too much of the insurance control for too many gun organizations in America right now.
You also have to look at it from an activism and a legislative point of view. Okay.
Yep.
We have the NRA is one of the largest and is the most recognized active advocacy group or activist group, I guess you could say, and basically they're able to take the punches that the smaller groups like the GOA or the Second Amendment Foundation or any other smaller group can't take.
Oh yeah,
and we kind of need the NRA to be essentially the big brother of all the smaller advocacy groups.
Yep. The NRA needs to get out of the lobbying and get back to the education aspect of what the NRA does. That's what they do well. Stay with the insurance, stay with the education, get out of the lobbying aspect.
No, do the lobbying better, do it right, or don't do it at all.
Well, I think that to look at the NRA's move from education to lobbying was less a NRA making a decision to move and more a cultural shift. So you can't go into a school in most states and it not be overwhelmed by lefties. Now, I grant you, some of us and most of us live in states where predominantly we have conservative-minded people. But, you know, even the NRA's home state at this point, if you were to go as an NRA leader into a school and say, I want to teach gun safety, I want to teach anything but anti-gun propaganda, you're going to get thrown out on your butt. And so the NRA's transition into that was less they want to get out of education and more will have better impact by actually doing advocacy and doing legal fight, because right now we can't get into schools in most of the places where we might have impact.
But when was the last time they actually fought for something?
Right.
Well, if you ask
true.
them, they'll tell you all sorts of places.
All sorts of places. But when you ask the GOA and the 2AF which major victories that they've had lately that the NRA has taken credit for doing when they haven't done jack diddly.
Yeah, the NRA sure just let us down on the bump stock thing.
Oh, the bump stocks and red flag laws?
Yeah. They sure let us down on that, man.
Well, here's the thing. Today, Trump's ATF just literally attacked pistol braces, which we all knew was coming. And so I don't think that you can give credit.
So the pistol brace thing, it's because the length of pull was too long.
The length of pull had nothing to do with that. You mean the overall length of the firearm, right?
I heard that
it was under 26 inches.
I heard it was something like with the length of pull being like a 13 inches thing or something.
So the length of pull refers to the distance from the hand grip to the trigger.
Right.
Well, what they're saying the issue is that the manufacturer of the Q firearms designed the firearms to actually be shouldered.
Right.
Even though that they have a pistol stabilizing brace. Well,
they didn't, but what they're doing is they're magicking that claim. Just like the magical claim that the shooters, I emphasize, in the mass shooting out in thank you, were actually using bump stocks. And so there's this endless circle of people making accusations and then creating policy around that accusation that we go through, right? And this is under the current White House administration. Other things have happened under other White House administrations. But again, arguing the point that any one group, whether it be the GOA or the NRA, et cetera, is responsible for that is actually kind of crazy. Because none of them can do anything but sue afterwards. And then the worst part is they don't seem to have their lawyers in very good cadence. So if my lawyer were to take 3 lawsuits to accomplish one task and bill me for all the billable hours for 3 different lawsuits instead of sitting down and creating a full case and looking at all the aspects by which that case may be created, and particularly here recently with the GOA suing for to reopen ranges, I would fire their butt. And they present these people like they're God's gift to legal prosecution. And that's our best lawyers. They take 3 trips to open 2 types of ranges because the first trip in, they don't make a determination that they need to impress upon people to open the other type of range.
Man. Yeah.
So. All right. Does anyone else have any comments on this?
No.
Okay. All right. So, Guns and Barbecue's back. Or Foos is back. That's what. All right. So, with that, we're moving on. We're going on to the next topic. I'm moving the topics around. So hold on. I'm getting the tab. So I know I went and I said it. Why isn't that tab not open? Now that makes me angry. All right, there we go.
Don't make Night Strike angry. You wouldn't like him when he gets angry.
You wouldn't like him when he gets angry. No. I turn green. There's a copyright there somewhere. All right. Let's see. Okay. The McCloskeys. We all know who the McCloskeys are. They're under fire again. Apparently, they have been now indicted on charges of displaying weapons and tampering with evidence, even though it was the state that tampered with evidence.
I'm not worried about them. They're going to do just fine.
I'm not worried either, because the governor has stated that even if it gets to the point where a judge makes a decision, he's overriding that decision.
Yep.
Oh,
because
man.
Because previous state laws are already in place to protect that kind of thing from happening, and the fact that they let this through and they ignored state law. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the governor calls for their arrest for violating state law. I mean, they're literally breaking state law by trying to prosecute these people. I mean, why should this attorney general not be held to the same standard that these people are being held to?
Well, if we argue that point, then we go on up the line, right? Why are we not in Congress hauling people out on their butts? We know very good and well that we have allowed our legal system to some extent, based on the political climate in the area we live in, to basically be gods. They're untouchable, and that is where some of this corruption comes from.
I would argue that some of this corruption is from one side of the aisle and not the other.
Well, I'm not trying to sling mud right now, but it's also not a completely unique thing to blue states, and I've seen some of it here in what is it is a super majority Republican state. I've seen it happen. So,
the weird thing is, Missouri isn't really a blue state. That's the problem.
Missouri's a red state.
Exactly. Because Foose, you were talking to us live from. So, it's just.
Yeah. So, like, I grew up. First 24 years of my life, I was in Missouri. Okay. It's a red state. It's kind of like how New York is, how it's red all except for population area.
Right.
Missouri is very red except St. Louis, Kansas City.
St. Louis and Kansas City are I'd like to think they're purple, but they're probably more so blue, aren't they?
Oh, they're blue, but the state in general is red.
Right. So, I'm going to go over the article. We've had a little commentary on this. I just wanted to put that out there, some of that information on Missouri, because for those that don't know, okay, a St. Louis grand jury has just added a new charge against the St. Louis couple who defended their property when a crowd of protesters trespassed in their central West End neighborhood in June. Mark and Patricia McCloskey had already been charged by prosecutor Kim Gardner with felony use of a weapon. Today it was announced that a grand jury has handed down an indictment and added an evidence tampering charge against the two attorneys, which the state, the St. Louis local government were the ones who tampered with the evidence and fixed it from a non-working position to a working position. And we already know this because there was information about it released earlier. This is from KMOV.com. Afterward, Mark McCloskey expressed frustration with the fact that no protesters were charged in the incident. They broke down our gate. They trespassed on our property. Not a single one of those people are now charged with anything, Mark McCloskey stated. We're charged with felonies that could cost us 4 years of our lives and our law licenses. The new charge adds more complication to the situation facing the McCloskeys. However, Missouri State Governor Mike Parson, in a July radio interview, indicated that the couple won't be facing any jail time, no matter how the criminal case against them goes, saying he's likely to pardon them if it gets to that point. And unfortunately, Mike, I think you're gonna have to, make good on your statement, because it looks like it's going that way.
Well, what sucks is, even though they're going to get pardoned, or the governor said that they're going to go ahead and get pardoned, they're using hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight this, and however many years it's going to go through court, their reputation as lawyers are going to be gone, and then they'll have to turn around and sue Missouri for the defamation.
Yeah, I'm surprised Mark hasn't come out and said. I know you don't want to really talk about an active case, but I'm surprised he hasn't come out actively and said anything regarding this stuff. I guess it'd be bad against him on the case if he does, but I can't imagine the frustration that he, as even a lawyer himself, has to deal with this shenanigans of them. I believe that St. Louis is St. Louis is a lot like some of the other southern states, right, Foose, where they've got preemption.
I don't know.
Where the cities can't make a law that is more restrictive than the state.
I do not think that is here in Missouri.
Well, I'll look it up later in the show, and we'll see about that. But it seems really weird that cities like St. Louis and maybe even Kansas City can ignore state law and go after people. It seems really weird, doesn't it?
This is kind of these guys' dream, though. Don't they sue? Isn't this what they do, though, as lawyers? I think this is what they basically do, is find cases where they can sue big government on behalf of the little guy and make suit. If they're probably sitting there trying to figure out exactly how much money they need to retire at this point. Because
I think he's being smart by not coming out and publicly saying anything. Honestly, that would be the first thing a lawyer would tell you to do, is not to speak about it. So
shut up, sit down, and look innocent.
But the comments he has say
something later. So
I mean, I could, but we heard his frustration about how he and his wife are getting indicted even further when the 30 to 50 odd people that broke down a gate, because that gate was if you looked at pictures the day before, that gate was in perfect condition, and then it said some drastically, no one knows, it just goes and gets broken down so they can just waltz right in. Yeah, they broke the gate down.
Yeah.
Well, they inherently have to get some. I mean, they can't just appear through this whole process to be completely unemotional, right? Mm-hmm. They can't appear to be completely not the victims. And so if they play up the parts of their case that they intend to use to garner sympathy and to garner their sense of justice from the legal system, those things work on their behalf. Right. There's an old saying that if you can produce tears, you're more likely to win your case. And that works at whatever level of emotional attack you may show it, especially in our modern legal system, where it's begun to become how people feel about things and even less about the true legal facts behind the case.
All right.
Oh, the legal facts behind the case in something public like this is... yeah, that's tossed to the wind. That's not a thing anymore.
I believe Foss already said it, but I agree. I think I couldn't hear him too much, but I think they, they're gonna have kind of a wet dream with this. There's not really much there. I mean, to the point where even the president said they'd pardon and this and that. So for them to go above and beyond trying to drag them through the mud for this is kind of ridiculous. An abuse of the system, taxpayer funds, taking up time and whatnot. So I hope something does happen. So
I wonder if the governor's up for election this year.
You never know.
He might be.
Because if he is, and they drag it out, let's say, for instance, he loses and then Trump loses, they're SOL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they went for the max, right? So when the lefty court system went out there and attacked, they went all out. And they may have hope of that very subject. It's, you look at the Rittenhouse case right now, that's what it's really, they're holding Rittenhouse, hoping that there'll be enough of an election up there that there's no chance that Rittenhouse gets to walk away. Those politicians need to be able to execute these people. We talk about watering the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Well,
the problem is the tyrants are all in charge right now.
Well, that's the thing, right? So just the same way you and I talk about that subject, they do too. And so if they can water the tree with the blood of a patriot or the blood of citizenry trying to protect themselves, they don't have to worry about that later. Joseph Stalin used to talk about pulling all the feathers out of a chicken and then giving it a little food, it would come right back, right? So when you whip something enough and beat something enough, it will no longer resist you, but it'll come back to you because it has no other choice but to suckle. And so that's what they're trying to do with the population right now.
Well, Stalin himself isn't a very good example because he was a Georgian. He wasn't Russian.
I wasn't referring to his Russian, but rather dictators.
Yeah.
We can talk about Pol Pot, who executed everybody who tried to defend themselves.
Or we could talk about, Mao?
Mao, yep.
Yeah. But no, we're not going to do that because you know what? This is not a communist chat. I don't know if you noticed, but I don't see a communist star there. I don't see a communist star there. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on.
You were working for the Chinese.
I wish they aren't paying me enough.
It's communist. You don't get paid.
Exactly, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you do
Every
good
breath
work.
is a payment.
You don't get killed. That's the thing.
Yeah. You don't get thrown in jail if you do good work. Yeah. All right. Next up, Florida man released from jail after 2 years when judge rules shooting justified under stand your ground law. But first, I do want to mention, Foose, Missouri has preemption law.
Okay.
I just looked it up. They can't make anything more restrictive than what's already on the law. So.
Well, the Constitution basically has a preemption law, and that's not working at all. So it just depends on laws are only subject to who is in control of them at that time.
Sadly. So a reasonable and prudent person in the same situation as Mr. Dames would have believed that the use of deadly force was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to Mr. Dames. St. Lucie County Circuit Judge William Roby stated, the state has failed to prove that Mr. Dames had no objectively reasonable basis to use deadly force against Mr. McMiller at any time during their fateful encounter. And with that, as reported by T.C. Palm, Judge Roby dismissed all charges against Jason Dames, who had been sitting in a jail cell for 2 years after a 2018 shooting. Dames was attacked by Jesse McMiller, a man who he didn't know, in a restaurant. Dames is blind in one eye. One eye he's blind. And has a shunt in his head, which makes him particularly vulnerable to injury. Okay, that's. Wow. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Why do you have to sit there for 2 years?
Because the courts aren't fast.
I don't understand.
No, he didn't have money.
Drunk, run people over, and go home in a week.
He didn't have money to be able to pay bail. Probably.
He didn't have money, and he wasn't.
He's disabled.
Yeah, considered to be a political target. So
Yeah.
the amount of time you spend in jail is directly related to how much money you make. And it's almost with any crime. You've seen people in Hollywood murder people.
Oh
and
yeah,
not sit in
yeah.
jail.
Well, on a lot of levels, even with traffic things or something.
And
you got
here's
the money, you're in and out.
Here's what happened to him.
It's just sad. 2 years of the man's life when he was a victim. That's a damn shame.
And that's when you sue the state for wrongful imprisonment.
Well, if you don't have the money to get yourself out of jail in 2 years, you don't have the money for that lawsuit.
I don't know.
And the fantasy world where people are going to get a lawyer who's going to take that case on and do it without expecting payment up front from you doesn't exist in most states. It really doesn't exist. Try that shit in New York City or someplace like that. No lawyer will take that case.
That stuff don't work.
That's not going to happen.
TV stuff.
Yep.
Dames was punched repeatedly and had been knocked to the ground before he shot McMiller, who later died at a hospital.
Yep.
Okay, so apparently he was eating in this diner, and this other guy just didn't like the look of him because he's, the guy's disabled. Dames is disabled. So he went up to him and started punching him repeatedly. And he couldn't take much more, so he shot him.
Yep.
I mean, to the Florida government, how badly beaten do you have to be before you can actually use deadly force?
Well, Florida was just coming off of a case where they kind of dropped the ball on it. I don't know if you remember, but right before this case was the case where the guy started a fight with somebody in the parking lot, fell down and gunned him down. So Florida was a little jumpy on this. Plus, this guy didn't have the money. Plus, nobody's going to take that case. So it was a bad time. He had a lot of stuff stacked up against him. It stinks. But again, so, if you're one of Soros's boys, you ain't sitting in jail overnight, right? The Patriots don't do that kind of stuff for each other. So the silent majority, we don't take care of each other like that.
No. Dames was not in any way the person who initially provoked the use of force against him. Roby ruled. Adding McMiller was agitated and the provoker in this deadly situation. Dames was released from jail, where he'd remain all this time pending $750,000 bail. I'm sorry, but if you have a $750,000 bail, could you pay it, Nighthawk?
No, I wouldn't pay it.
Could anybody in this panel pay it? I'm gonna give you the answer. It's no.
I got
no.
But yeah.
Oh, is there a bond on that?
Yeah, if there's a bond, I could pay it if there was a bond, but
a lot of.
But $750,000 bail, that's excessive.
Yeah, that is excessive.
Well, that was designed to hold him in jail.
Yeah.
The judge ruled the state failed to make the case that Roby's use of deadly force wasn't justified given the circumstances. Let's see. Let's just say a reasonable and prudent person in the same position as Mr. Dames would have believed that the use of deadly force was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to Mr. Dames. Roby stated, the state has failed to prove that Mr. Dames had no objectively reasonable basis to use deadly force against Mr. McMiller at any time during their fateful encounter. The state failed to show that, and security video showed Dames trying to get away from McMiller before resorting to a ballistic defense. In Florida, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to show that a defender didn't have a reasonable fear of injury or death. Citing video of the incident, Roby stated Dames is seen retreating from the multiple barrages of punches to the head and face until he falls to the ground several feet away. After shooting McMiller, Dames said he sat on the ground, took his Glock handgun apart, and set it on the ground with his concealed carry permit and waited for police to arrive. Dames' attorney blamed Fort Pierce police for ignoring mounds of evidence showing that the shooting was clearly justified and resulting in Dames rotting behind bars for 2 years. This is exactly the type of situation that prompted Stand Your Ground laws. Stand Your Ground, which is the law in 25 states, permits the use of deadly force by an individual who has a reasonable fear of death or grievous bodily harm, wherever he or she may be, not only in your home. Stand Your Ground laws have become a favorite target of the gun control industry.
Well, of course.
I'm not going to read what the gun control people are saying, but particularly after the Trayvon Martin shooting, which did not involve Florida's Stand Your Ground law, the civilian disarmament industrial complex has claimed that Stand Your Ground laws are not a license to shoot anyone at any time. They'd rather see someone like Jason Dames be injured or killed rather than have him successfully defend himself against an unknown attacker. Wow. And the problem is their whole statement, the whole gun control lobby statement, where you don't need firearms because the streets are safe and the police will protect you. You don't need those. And now when they're trying to defund the police and law enforcement are quitting or not doing as much because they don't want to, cause the unnecessary burden or of bad press on them, you kind of need firearms.
Yes.
Well, and you have to. Trayvon Martin was Barack Obama's personal attempt at throwing that man in jail. He was completely cleared of all charges, and then suddenly the United States government went after him. That was insane, that entire process. And Trayvon Martin never recovered. If you go read about Trayvon Martin, that man's done. As a human being able to make anything out of his life above where he is at now, he's destroyed.
Like,
yeah.
If I was
you mean what was it? Zimmerman, I think it was George.
Or Zimmerman, sorry, yeah,
George Zimmerman.
Yeah. Well, Martin's destroyed too, but
yeah, he was well ventilated.
Like, I would totally be changing my freaking name if I was Zimmerman, because people don't remember what people look like.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. You see, one thing I don't like is like when they get these victims, that they died and stuff, and they show videos. I mean, not videos, but pictures of them when they were younger, and say, "Look, Trayvon Martin, he was just a young boy." And then you actually see a picture.
I hate that
a big dude,
like
everybody's
right.
Everybody's
like thinking he shot a kid.
Everybody was young and innocent at one time.
Yeah, they're always in a priest robes or something every time.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but going back with this Danes guy, he was handicapped. He wasn't able to probably fend off what this guy was doing to him.
He was most likely disabled already.
Yeah. He was like disabled. He wasn't like he said
screwed by the
he was blind in one eye.
Years gone.
And he needed a way to defend himself no matter what. It could have gone worse,
Yeah.
But they always like to change stuff and just screw the guy that defends himself.
Well, and let's all be honest with ourselves. That is the definition of what a lot of us like to say, which is, I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And so when the moment that you make the decision to carry a firearm and to defend your life, you are putting yourself in the hands of the legal system wherever you live.
Yeah.
Okay. And I tell people I've left places. I no longer live in certain places because I got tired of paying willingly taxes to have my rights taken away from me. Yeah. I got exhausted of that. And so if you live in a place, I had a subscriber one time write to me and said, what would be my recommendation if I thought I was going to have to deal with 5 or 6 people attacking me all at once? And I told him, I would recommend that you get a realtor. And he said, what, you don't recommend a firearm? I said, no. If you're going to be engaged in small squad combat on a nightly basis, you need to move. Get out.
Yeah. Or if you're going to be attacked by 6, run.
Yeah.
Don't take them all out because you never know what can happen.
No, I mean, it's not even that. It's have enough self-awareness not to have 6 come up on you.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't. We keep talking about people getting trapped in their cars and things, and I've yet to see one of those videos where there were 3 other cars getting destroyed behind the lead car that was getting destroyed. It's like everybody else figured out how the reverse gear worked, and that one person didn't. I'm not going to down them too hard, but it just seems real strange to me.
Dude, in a vehicle, speed bump.
Speed bump.
Well, that last person that did that is in jail right now.
Yeah, I think it's important just to understand that you're taking a chance by, kind of like you were stating, if you're going to carry a gun, if you're going to make that decision, make sure you do it for a reason you're willing to sit in jail unjustifiably for years, if possibly, because this is the world we live in. So, certain items or this or that, or you're not 100% sure, is it really worth it on your end? I mean, at the same time, if you see a mass shooting or something, by all means, please help out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But don't be looking for trouble. You know what I mean?
No.
Don't be a dumbass and you don't have a problem, really.
Don't have a short fuse or road rage.
Low.
I can't tell you how much more patient I am with stupid people since I started carrying a firearm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'll be like, that guy almost hit me. I'll let it go. Let it go. No accident happened. So
Nope.
happy place.
Nobody's bleeding. Walk away. Yeah. There's been more than one occasion where I've walked away from stuff that I would never have walked away from when I was younger. And certainly not with a pistol in my hip, just because of that.
But you got to pick your battles.
Yep.
If you get into something stupid today, nobody's defending your loved ones tomorrow.
Nope. So. That's exactly right. I actually had a funny incident 3 weeks ago that had my weapon out of the holster. My wife and I were on a hiking trail, and 3 dogs popped out of the woods. And seeing 3 dogs where I live is not a big deal usually. And they got aggressive. And so I drew my weapon, preparing to execute some dogs, and I think they got the feeling that this wasn't going to be an easy fight and left. And man, I hadn't had my holster out of anywhere but the range in forever. And that's why you carry that weapon. It's for that situation that there's no way to get out of. And so if you are not prepping 30 feet, 75 feet, or halfway up the road for what could be coming, then you probably shouldn't be carrying a weapon until you learn that level of situational awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they say in the security business, you get the badge on your chest and you automatically got some people get the John Wayne syndrome, How dare they do that? Don't you see I have this badge? I'm the one in charge here. And sometimes people get that, So if someone, gets cut off on traffic or someone steps on your foot by accident and stuff or pushes you and stuff, people get that short fuse. And if they're carrying a weapon, they got to understand you just don't take it out for any little darn reason. It's just for self-defense, or as maybe third party, maybe somebody else is in danger and they need help. But other than that, that weapon stays holstered. And you don't do anything, and you always don't get mad over little things. It's better to just thank God didn't get in that accident. Whew, don't have to worry about insurance. Getting into it and your rates going up, or your broken leg or something. Bodily harm. Yeah. So it's just best to let it go and be happy.
I'd say don't walk around with a complex and get in everybody's damn business, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's another one right there, yeah.
You're not a cop. You don't have a union behind you.
Yeah.
Just because you have a gun doesn't make you invincible.
It doesn't make you invincible. You're not some mass crusader. Don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble, because odds are it won't end well.
And unfortunately, some people, I think, hide behind they get a gun and they think now they're Billy Badass and I'm going to go tell them or whatever. And, Those are the ones that I think make a bad name for us that you read about in the paper. Shot their neighbor because their music was too loud and stupid shit like that.
And you don't know who you're messing with either.
Yeah.
And so that's important too, is, when you get out there in the street, if it does turn in the Wild West, there's nothing saying that guy's not faster on the draw than you, or your weapon doesn't malfunction or whatever else. Mm-hmm. You could end up dead. I always think of that song. I can't even remember the name of it, but it talks about the guy waving his pistol around and ending up dead. Right. Yeah. And so that's the reality. Once you commit to lethal action, he pulled out his
Whitey Ford sings the blues.
Talked some stuff and wound up dead. But that's,
that's Whitey Ford sings the blues.
Yep. You can't get out there thinking you're John Wayne. You're going to end up dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, studying the martial arts, you study the martial arts. Yeah, I'm a black belt. Yeah. I can kick ass. Nobody can kick me, but there's always somebody else that knows more.
There's
stronger, tougher.
Or someone's going to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an old saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, and don't try and bring a fist to a gunfight.
And a skateboard.
No, bring a skateboard. We'd love to get it on camera.
I think there's a difference between confident and cocky.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
So you just gotta, slow your roll sometimes. Yeah. Think about it.
Well, and I think verbal judo is one of those. If you've never read that book, read that book. Verbal judo is one of those skills any self-defender should have. Situational awareness. These are the things that'll really cash you out. You have to have something between a harsh word and a bullet. I carry pepper spray with me. And, there's a lot of people say a lot of bad stuff about pepper spray. And it's kind of like most of the time, and when I've seen pepper spray deployed, it works if it's deployed correctly. If it's not deployed correctly, it doesn't work. And it's the same thing for a taser. And so a lot of people crap on non-lethals, but the reality of it is if you're effective, if you're not training with your non-lethals the same way you're training with your lethals, then you're invariably going to have a bad experience with them.
Yeah, sometimes carry pepper spray. Not all the time, but depending where I'm going, if I'm expecting certain areas, then I carry pepper spray because it's in my state, it's a good idea to have something like you're stating before just jumping to a gun. Because if I can avoid sitting in jail, even if I'm right, I'd prefer to.
Oh yeah.
M. Gabriel says so. He's hiking 15 miles from the trailhead. And he comes across a sign warning about recent wild dog attacks in the area. Thanks a lot. Shouldn't the sign be at the trailhead? Yes, it should.
Pepper spray works for dogs too.
Pepper spray works on dogs too. I hike with a 1911 and a can of bear mace, and people are always like, "What's the bear mace for?" Everything that the 1911 won't stop.
Right.
I've gone as far as giving that away as gifts to customers at times.
Oh yeah,
I've had single ladies as customers and stuff. It's just, I think it's a nice thing to do. You got to give them a little pep class. But
Rob, shut up. Let Fu say something.
So in Arkansas and Missouri, it is illegal to be on like state parks with a firearm.
Yikes!
So,
wow,
you cannot conceal carry.
Yeah, when did they enact that? 2019.
Oh no, it's been enacted for a while.
Okay, it's weird.
Yeah. You can't carry on like Missouri and Arkansas state parks.
Jason Stewart's out there saying, if you're going to fight, the last thing you want to do is fight fair, and it's true.
Yes, this is very fair. I don't like to get in fist fights anymore. I've gotten old.
No, I'm old too.
Yeah,
I'm not
as
old as you,
I've
but
gotten blind.
Yeah,
How old's everybody?
He's blind. He's got a legitimate excuse.
Blind is that's a very legitimate excuse.
I mean,
yeah. Most of the time, if you pull out your gun or you say you got a gun, people are just like, oh shit, back off. The only time If you have those crazy ones that are also carrying a gun and they don't care, and then they're probably all drugged up and they just, feel that they'll take on the challenge, then that's going to be a problem.
Well, and we've got other problems these days too, which is you draw that gun and then he's got 5 buddies or 6 buddies there, and 3 of them are filming, by the way, and the one that's behind you's got a pistol. Okay. Yeah. And whether they're a good shot or not, they get right once and you're dead. And so it's not a video game, it's not Call of Duty.
Uplift Mofo Party is saying, Party Plan is saying, is a whip considered less than lethal?
I told him to ask a lawyer. We have no idea.
Yeah, ask a lawyer. We're not here for legal advice, and it would also depend on the type of whip. I know what you're thinking, Clay.
Well, also
waters don't count.
Or you pull that gun and then call the police and say this guy's threatening me with a gun, and 2 of their buddies. Yeah.
Yep. And you're toast.
There's got to be a safe word. There's got to be a safe word.
And now there's 4 witnesses.
Pineapple.
Safe word.
In our modern world, if you're not creating witnesses before a self-defense event, you're crazy. If you're not screaming at the top of your lungs, oh my God, please help me. Oh my gosh, he's going to kill me. So that all those cameras are on there before you gun the guy down, you're nuts. Because everybody has a camera in their pocket these days. And I'd much rather the camera show the guy coming at me with a gun or a knife before the next piece of footage, which is me pulling the trigger on my gun.
Yeah, definitely. It's like,
here's the thing.
Pull over the car and everybody starts pulling out the cell phones and they're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah, and that leads to my next comment / question I want to ask you guys is, do you think, since we most of us conceal carry, you think we should consider maybe getting some sort of body cam to wear with us when we're out, just for evidence?
I have one in my car. I've never had a body cam on my person outside of a protest. I've worn a GoPro at a protest, but I've never had a body cam per se. I don't know. I mean, they sell them. You can buy them.
They sell them, and that's why I ask. I mean,
well, it can be something.
Do you think it could help, or do you think it would hurt?
I mean, depends on how stupid you are, I guess.
If you're acting within the law, it's only going to help. But if you act outside of the law, then it could bite you in the ass.
So if you follow the law and you have a body cam and it shows that you were just trying to defend yourself, then whether 2 guys say this or that, there's visual proof.
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, and it could be like maybe not a real big one. I know that they make smaller size, like so big, and they're like they clip onto your pocket and stuff, or your lapel, and you can use it if you ever, and if you're aware of your surroundings and see, something's gonna happen, you turn it on. And then you assess the situation, either you run or they confront you, you get confronted. And if you have to draw your weapon out, at least it's all being taped.
Yeah. All right.
I was just going to say,
we get the answer in Night Strike or what?
What?
Did we get the answer?
Yeah.
We just did 2 of us. All right.
No,
most of those smaller ones are junk. You can get decent ones for $150, $200 at auto upload.
How much do the ones that Dog wore? How much the ones that go on the glasses that Dog wore? How much are those? You remember Dog the Bounty Hunter? He wore the cameras on his glasses.
You can get those between $25 to $150, depending on what kind you need.
Yeah. Okay, how good is the quality? I'm just saying that's your eyes. That's your eyes.
They're the ones do go from 720 to 1080p.
So there are some that are built into like safety glasses that look like sunglasses. Those you're looking at about 300, but they will hold a couple hours worth of video.
I mean, to me, that's where your head's turning. I mean, your eyes can go one way or the other, but your head turns, and for most humans, that your head, you see something going on, you're focused on it. So to me, having those right where your eyeballs are, one on one side, one on the other, that would be the best type of body cam to have in a situation like that.
So, yeah, and a lot of them are a single camera; they're not multiples.
Yeah. So with that, we're losing people fast. So we're gonna go and call this one done. Let's go through the room and let everyone give us their pitches if they've got anything to pitch. Promote. So, George, you're first.
I'd just like to say thanks for the invite. Good show today, and just catch me on Instagram at South Texas AR Guy, and I'm starting to post more there. So hopefully one day, like I said, I'll start posting on other platforms, and we'll see what happens. Thanks.
We need to make a South Texas AR Guy YouTube channel.
There we go. Yeah.
We need to get on that. Foos.
Nothing.
I
got nothing.
You got nothing. Okay. All right. Guns and barbecue.
Like always, I'm putting out about 2 videos a week. Go over to GunTube. Be sure to pick up some CLP from Night Strike. It helps, keep GunTube going. I'd also like to say, get out and vote in November. It's going to be very important. Encourage, your friends, family, neighbors, all that fun jazz to get out and vote. I really don't even care if you vote the same way that I do or anything. I just want to see people out there, taking part, doing their civic duty.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Armament Naxus.
Well, for one, thank you. You always send me an invite, and as your show says, hit and miss. It's hit and miss for me, and thank you for always sending me one. The one thing why I jumped in, we were talking about this in the chat. I had a dream this morning. It's that REM sleep dream, and I was in a confrontation, and I had to use my weapon. I can't remember. It was somebody I knew, relative or friend. Somebody had a gun on them, threatening them, and if I remember, they had a child next to him, and I shot the person. The person was a woman, and I watched her die talking as she gasped for breath, and I was like, the afterthought, even in the dream, I was feeling it in the dream, and then today, I had a shitty day. I mean, yeah, normal work day, but just everything today was, I don't know, was it because of that? And that's something to think about, that if you ever have to use your weapon, let's hope it's in the right situation. Don't be a dingus and pull your gun for stupid stuff like your earlier guests were saying. You start to carry a weapon, you better put the temper out of the thing. And this, in the dream, it was no temper, but it was oh crap, shit's happening, boom, bang. You see what I mean? How I felt, man.
Weapon is the one between your ears.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. And honestly, and I guess maybe to me, since I've been carrying for over 11 years now, and I only got USCCA insurance like, I don't know, 8-9 months ago, because all the crap that's going on, looking at all the looting and rioting and I said, I better do this. But the thought of that over the years, and I carry everywhere every day. Thank God my boss lets me carry. I drive truck, and I drive construction. I drive a dump truck. I'm local, but man, I see a lot of people, and I do a lot of traveling, and you just never know. Thank God I've never had to use it, but the way I would feel after if I did have to use it. And I hope that I was in the right, and I hope I had my eyeglass cameras on to see where my eyes were looking. Anyway, yeah, that was one of the reasons I jumped on. I'll just say peace to all. Stay 2A strong. Thank you, Night Strike.
Yeah. All right. So for those of you that don't know, I turned monetization off on this video. So there's no ads tonight, but that means I'm going to have to promote, because that's what I have to do. And if you don't like capitalism, then you shouldn't be watching Hit or Miss. So,
right on.
So that's all I have to say on that. Because I get comments left and right from people. So, one, check out the GunTube store. I got CLP. I've got the new GunTube patches on the store. and that's the new patches with where it's the laptop with GunTube logo on that laptop. Those are the new patches. Check those out. If you like what I'm doing with Hit or Miss, and some of the chats I do, please check me out on Patreon. I'll get you the Patreon link right there. If you don't want to do Patreon, don't want the hassle, just want to send a few dollars my way, you can also use the PayPal link there. And the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't put any ads on this episode whatsoever. I do not have it monetized. So check that out. Check those links out for me. That would really help out right now because times are rough. But other than that, we're going to get out of here. We're going to let John go and do Get Off My Lawn right after this. So go check that out. And with that, shut up, be infringed! There you go.
Of course, it's not in a fridge. That's just disgusting.
Yeah, don't pee in the fridge.
How do I turn this damn thing
Shall
off?
not be infringed.
What does this button do?
Not be in fridge.